To a Fox News alert, at least 14 people are dead, including 10 guards and 13 injured after gunmen in bulletproof vehicles opened fire on a Mexican prison just miles away from the border. Around 24 inmates escaped the prison before the military and state police were able to finally take back control. That prison is just 9 miles away from the U.S. border and just 10 miles away from El Paso. There is no word yet on any arrests. We're going to bring in retired acting ICE director and Fox News contributor Tom Homan. He is joining us now. Tom, I want your reaction on this attack, this armed attack on this prison. What's the likelihood that these people escaped and went to the United States, especially considering it's 9 and 10 miles away from the border?
Well, this is an example of how powerful the criminal cartels in Mexico really are. They're brazen. The criminal cartels in Mexico, as you know, control our southern border. They have operational control of our southern border. So if they want to escape to the United States, it's going to be pretty easy because this administration has created such a crisis on the southern border. You got 80% of Border Patrol agents pulled off the line, off patrol to process these large groups, which means that the border is vulnerable to anybody getting across. So this is another example of criminal cartels in Mexico control the entire country. Much of the law enforcement in Mexico, much of the military are corrupt, and the criminal cartels will make whatever decisions they want to make without consequence. So this is a scary situation, especially being so close to the United States border and because we have lost control of the border.
Mm-hmm. And ICE put out a new report saying there were more than 140,000 migrant arrests in fiscal year 2022, which is double the number of arrests compared to the previous year. But you're not buying that. Why?
No, I'm not buying it. First of all, in the report, it says transparency is at the forefront of this report. No, it's not. Because for 15 years, at ICE, we put out the same report for 15 years, and all of a sudden the Biden administration comes in and changes the report and turns it upside down to try to hide the truth of what ICE isn't doing. And look, I'm not blaming the men and women of ICE. They want to do the job. But the Secretary of Mayorkas has written a new priorities memorandum that does not allow them to do that. For instance, they said they made 143,000 arrests. No, they didn't. The Border Patrol made most of those arrests. The Border Patrol is the one that arrested the alien. ICE merely processed them. And they talk about these are at-large arrests. Where I come from, an at-large arrest is when you arrest an alien out in the field. It's not when the alien voluntarily shows up in an ICE office. It's not an at-large arrest. And if you look at what the Secretary has done, the Secretary said from day one that they want to concentrate on criminals. They want to concentrate on public safety threats. But if you look at the numbers in FY20, there was 4,300 criminal arrests. This past year, there's 2,200 criminal arrests. So almost half the criminals were arrested this year that were arrested in FY20. And let's remember, in 2020, the country was shut down because of COVID. ICE operations across the nation were shut down, but they still managed to arrest twice the criminals that they did this year. So this report is full of misinformation, trying to fool the American people. But if you understand the raw data, like I do, because I was in the agency for 3 decades, you can't fool me. This is another blatant attempt by this administration to lie to the American people.
So, Tom, Texas Congressman Pat Fallon also says the Democrats are misleading Americans about the border crisis. Listen.
The Democrats are gaming. They're playing this game of deception with the American people by claiming that U.S. tax dollars aren't going to facilitate illegal immigration or directly to the illegal migrants. But they are. We know that there's hundreds of millions of dollars, perhaps billions, going to these illegals and facilitating this migration through the NGOs, but they won't tell us how much. So I can't wait till we get in the majority so we can ask when he's under oath how much money is being sent to these illegals, and what their plans going forward.
Tom, do you think we're going to get any answers on these new numbers or really anything that's happening at the border now that the Republicans are set to take over the House?
Hopefully, if they conduct oversight hearings, call people in and put them under oath, they're going to hear the truth. I mean, it's astonishing. They say they doubled the number of arrests. They made 143,000 arrests. When nearly 100,000 of the 143,000 were arrested by a different agency and not them. They merely processed them. And I'll tell you how bad it is at ICE. There's a number of people who have not shown up in court as they're supposed to. And ICE goes out and looks for these people. In my day, if you don't show up in court, you're a fugitive. You're arrested, you're detained, and we make you see a judge because you're in detention. Now there's a broadcast message. ICE agents go out, to seek those who did not show up in court. They're not arresting them. They're not detaining them. They're counseling them and trying to counsel them to show up in court at a near future date. It is ridiculous that law enforcement agency is no longer enforcing the law. They're acting as counselors. And again, the men and women of ICE, the 20,000 men and women of ICE, deserve better. They took an oath. They want to uphold that oath, and they're not allowed to by this administration. It's disgusting. Really quickly, Tom, there's been 4 million border encounters since VP Harris was assigned to address the root causes of the problem. Do you think by the lack of effort that she's put at the border, do you think this is failing the American people, but also the migrants? Oh, absolutely. You got a record number of migrants have died in U.S. soil since Joe Biden became president, nearly 1,700. Look, Kamala Harris is doing exactly what this administration wanted her to do. That's why they picked her, because they know she would fail. As a senator, she supported open borders. She supported sanctuary cities. She attacked ICE, and that's who you put in charge as a border czar. She's doing exactly what the administration is going to do. She'll get an award from the administration, but what she's done is cheated the American people and sold out our national security to the progressive left to open borders. She's done exactly what she was supposed to do. She failed, but that was on purpose. This whole thing is not mismanagement. This is not incompetence. This is by design. Open borders is what they wanted. Open borders is what we have. Tom Homan, as always, thank you for your take on that this morning. We appreciate it.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.